Thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel, Shani Says. Today, I basically want to tell you all about my journey of how I even came up with the idea to open up a daiquiri shop. Before I can give you all this advice and let you know all the details about how to open up a daiquiri shop, I have to give you the backdrop of my story first, because it's going to show you how passionate I am about what I do, and it's also motivational for others out there who are wanting to be an entrepreneur, to let them know that it's going to be a lot of tough times out there, but you have to pick yourself up and you have to keep going, especially if it's something that you want to do. Okay. Out to my shop to see me, to support me. I really do appreciate it. The amount of support I've received from me opening up until now has just been like mind blowing. So I could not do anything without you all. So all the shares, likes, everything you all have done, it never goes unnoticed, and I really do appreciate it. Okay. So a lot of people have asked, how did you get to the idea of opening up a daiquiri shop? And like I tell everyone, it kind of just happened. I really didn't plan to open up a daiquiri shop before. That wasn't, it's just the way the events went. It kind of just fell in place. So I love to drink. Okay, I love alcohol. My friends, they all know, like, let's turn up. Like, Shani gonna get you there. We finna have some fun, okay? If I'm around, we having some fun. The only thing I cannot do is shot you guys, so don't ask me about shots. But other than that, like, I'm down. Like, I'm so down. So one thing that I was always known for is my Jello shots, right? Like, oh, everybody, oh man, these are bomb, these are good. Like, who made these? And everybody else, Shani made them. And they're like, girl, what you put in these Jello shots? And then, I had some people come to ask, like, well, do you cater them? And so people kept asking me about them for so much, about these Jello shots. So I was like, well, I guess I should sell them, huh? Because by the time I get through buying the alcohol and the Jello and those cups and my time after I got off from work, that's a lot of work and money. So you're right, I should start charging. So I used to charge people for Jello shots, and it was at one point, I was in this group on Facebook, and I used to be like, if you need Jello shots for parties or whatever, I got you. I make Jello shots, and people were really hitting me up. And it's like every Friday and Saturday when I got off from work, I had to go deliver Jello shots. It was to a point where I was like on a constant, just like, okay, I'm really doing this. Like, this is legit right now, okay? So if I'm booming like this, making these Jello shots, then I might need to turn this into like a business maybe. So I researched one day, I'm all on Google, like, is it legal to sell Jello shots without a license in Texas? Which of course, yes, it's illegal because you're selling alcohol. So I was like, okay, well, let me do some research with TABC, which is Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission. Let me call them and see, what all I need to do so I can be legit. Because I don't want to get busted, selling Jello shots. Oh my God, that would be just something so crazy to go to jail about, right? Or to get a fine about. So I called them, and the ladies all like, oh yeah, so that license is gonna be almost $1,500 to sell Jello shots. She's like, yes, ma'am. I was like, I didn't think it was gonna cost that much. And I'm like, okay. So I was expecting it to be like $200 to $500. So I regrouped, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to save up for that because I was not prepared for that price. Remind you, this is like early 2018. I came up with this bright idea, right? So I'm thinking like, okay, if I'm gonna spend this kind of money on a license, I need to have a plan, which I'm going to elaborate in another video about researching your business, because this is going to save you a lot of time and money, and this is actually the most important part of the business, is the researching stage. So I'm like, okay, let me see how I can sell these Jello shots besides Facebook. Who else could I sell these to? So I started thinking, oh, homecoming's coming up. You know, maybe I can set up a table as a vendor, and I can sell Jello shots. So, you know, I went up to the university, Texas Southern, where I graduated from, and I was like, let me go ask, you know, their coordinators, how can I get a booth? And the guys are like, oh, okay, cool. So, you know, what all do you want to sell? And I'm like, Jello shots. You know, I'm just as happy as I can be. And he was like, alcohol? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, what's wrong with that? And he's like, you can't sell alcohol on campus. Are you serious? And I'm like, oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I saw them selling the little cups and people drinking, you know. I just thought it'd be a cool idea. He was like, no, ma'am, you cannot do that. So that kind of brought me down a little bit. I was like, dang. Okay, well, how else can I get the word out that I'm selling these Jello shots? Because remind you, I'm trying to think, is it worth investing in this license before I keep, you know, selling these Jello shots like this? You know, I'm trying to do this legally now. So I'm like, I'm not with that. You know, I just don't want to spend that kind of money, and I don't know if I'm gonna get that back. Which I will tell you, as a business owner, you have to take risk, and you have to be willing to spend money. Because that's all entrepreneurship is. It's a big roll of the dice. I was all like, okay, I don't know. So my mind was starting to think about business now. Remind you, I was not into like the whole business thing. I just wanted to go to work, you know, make some good money, you know, 6 figures a year, be done with it. I was not thinking about really my own business seriously like that. So it came about, I started seeing a lot of ads on Instagram pop up about being a business owner, entrepreneur. And so it just so happens that the CEO of Main Choice, Miss Courtney, she was having her first boss annual like retreat. And so, you know, I had already been following her and her hair product page. And so I was like, this seems fun. And so then I noticed where she put on her page, you know, that she was going to help 30 people get to her retreat. You know, she would pay for 30 people, but you know, we needed to message her like why she thought we should be picked, right? So I was like, she's not going to respond back to me. You know, there are so many people who've already liked the post, and I'm sure has already messaged her. You know, I'm probably late, you know, so I'm not going to do it. So the first round, like, I didn't do it, right? And so then she posts like another post, you know, of saying like she's looking for so many other people to add on now. Like she was extending. So I sent it to her why she should pick me, and you know, just graduated, trying to start a business, blah blah blah. So, you know, a few minutes go on, and I'm just kind of thinking like, yeah, she's not gonna read my message. Like, really, me? I don't never get that lucky. And when I tell you, she messaged me back, I was like through the roof. I was super duper excited. I was like, oh my gosh, she actually did message me. So she paid for my whole stay pretty much. I just had to get there, and I had to pay for 1 night stay. But everything else was paid for, and that was a lot of money that her tickets were going for. So I was very grateful, and I'm very grateful that she did that to help others who couldn't afford to pay everything to go. She was a huge blessing in that area. So she paid for my ticket for me to go, and the only thing I had to do now was buy my plane ticket, right? So my plane ticket, it was in Vegas, so the ticket was like $500, right? And remind you, I really didn't have a lot of money like that at the time. So I was just kind of like, $500 for a plane ticket? And I'm like, I felt defeated, because I'm like, man, she done already paid for me. You know, we're already like 2 days before the event, and I'm supposed to be there, and I don't even have my ticket. I started looking at Greyhound. Baby, I'm not riding on no Greyhound for no 30-some hours. So I was like, okay, girl, you're gonna have to decide what you're gonna do. This lady done already paid for you. She was so nice. There's no way you can back out 2 days before. I was like, okay. So I was like, God, I'm gonna be broke when I get to Vegas, but this is my only choice. So when I got down to the very end of putting in all my information, you know, it asked that I want to do a payment plan. And I'm like, hold up. A payment plan for a plane ticket? Now, remind you, I had been on a few trips before this trip, and I had never ever seen an option for a payment plan. It must be really meant for me to go. So I clicked the option, it went through. I paid like $60 that night, and I cried. Now, I'm up at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, y'all. I cried like a baby because I was like, oh, that's God. Like that was God right there. Like there's a reason why I'm going. And it was so much chaos from just leaving Houston all the way to Vegas, you guys. We had a flight delays. Y'all know how Spirit is. So it was just like too much going on at that time. So I was like, you know, whenever I got there, I was already like super late getting there, rushing. Everyone's already in the mixer for the first day, enjoying themselves. You know, I'm just like on pins the whole time because I'm really trying to get here. And I'm like, there's just got to be a greater purpose of why I gotta, you know, go to this event. So finally, and you know, I met her personally, and I was like, wow, like she's so humble, and she was just so like graceful with her presence. Like she was so nice, and I couldn't believe that I was in a room with her. So long story short, you guys, with me being there at that seminar, it really opened up my mind to say that I could be an entrepreneur. I was in a room full of women who were bosses. I'm talking about they were already millionaires. They were on their way. They had storefronts. You know, some were working and still running their business. Some was just full-time entrepreneurs. Some had multiple businesses, and I've been talking to them and networking with them. It just put me on a different level of mentally. My mentality changed real quick to say, I think I can do this. So I got real serious with my business plan about my Jello Shots. And I said, I'm gonna go for it, I'm gonna save my money, and I'm gonna buy those licenses. Had this ad up saying as well that she was gonna be having a show saying, you know, who's the boss. And with that show, you know, you go through a series of things to your business plans, and you prove to her why you needed the $50,000 for your business. So I was like, but $50,000, you know, I could do way more than just Jello Shots. So I decided to say, let me open up a liquor store. And I was so excited about it. And I ended up talking to a lot of liquor store business owners. And they just told me straight up, like, that's not going to be a good business because you're going to spend a lot of money in inventory. Well, I'm all like, but if she give me $50,000, you know what I'm saying? You know, then I might could make that stretch a little bit. So I totally disregarded what some of them were saying. And I was like, well, see, what's going to make my liquor store different is because I want to have a bar. Okay, so they're gonna buy a bottle and they're gonna come over here and they're gonna drink it and then they can party. Like I ran it by a few more people and they're all like, no, I just don't see it. You know, I don't know. Some people were all like, I think that's a good idea. And then some people were like, realistically, it's just gonna cost a lot of money. $50,000 is not gonna get it. Well, guess what? I still put in my video saying that I wanna open up a liquor store / bar, okay? Club, whatever. And I didn't get picked, so I kind of got bummed. But that pushed me to think about something else. I said, well, they're right. To own a liquor store, you know, it's so many different options. Everybody don't drink the same thing. Everyone's going to be looking for variety. That is going to be pricey. So I noticed that every weekend I always used to go and get daiquiris. And so I'm like, you know what? These daiquiri shops are everywhere. I mean, like, they are popping up left and right. I can't hardly make a turn without seeing a daiquiri shop. Now open, daiquiri this, daiquiri that. So I'm like, well, how do you open up a daiquiri shop? So I started researching and calling around, you know. I called TABC, and I sat on the phone with this guy for about 45 minutes on my lunch break with my paper and pen, because the night before I had a list of questions I wanted to ask him, because as I was researching and looking, I had a lot of other questions about a lot of other things on the legal side that I wasn't finding. So I was like, well, I have to call them directly, I assume, to get the answers. And he gave me a mouthful. Now, you know, when you call places, they're not really helpful. They're not gonna tell you everything, you know. they're not going to be helpful in any way. They're going to give you the runaround, which is something you also need to be prepared for with opening any type of business, especially when dealing with the city or the state. They are not going to make the process easy for you at all. Okay, it's like they just enjoy seeing you run around. So the guy, he was very informative. I was very thankful when I got off the phone with him, and I was like, cool, I'm going to make this happen. But then I started doing my own research again once he broke everything down to me on what it would take, you know, to actually open that daiquiri shop. And I was just like, ooh, that's going to be a lot of money. I don't know. So guess what? I went back to selling my Jello shots. I got the idea, but it's just stuck in my book now, you know, of my goals, dreams, just on a piece of paper now. But I knew that one day it could happen. So I told myself, well, this is what you're going to do. You're going to save up $1,000 a month. And then that way, by the end of that year, 2018 or 2019, that was my goal. 2019, I can open up a daiquiri shop. But you're going to have to work very hard. You may have to even get, you know, another job. You know, now remind you, I was already working one good job, and I've always worked 2 jobs, 3 jobs here in Houston this whole time I've been here, because times have been very hard. So this was my very first time being able to work one job and to pay all my bills and still take care of my wants and needs off of one check. So like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. But before I was really pursuing the daiquiri shop business, I had started my hair business, right? So I saw how that was going for me. And I said, well, maybe I can use this extra money to help me, you know, go towards the daiquiri. I launched my hair line in 2019 in January. And it's like the more I dealt with my hair and promoting and working and just doing my own thing, I felt like empowered. I felt like I can do this, you know? So I prayed in the parking lot of my job, because I had been with the company already for like 2 years, and I was already over it because of my previous manager. It was just like the worst experience ever. So I was like, you know what, God, I'm praying to you right now that I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know what I will be doing, but I do pray that by 2020, the beginning of 2020, that, you know, I'll be working for myself. Let me just pray that I will be working for myself, whether if it's selling hair full time or whatever you have for me, Lord. I want to work for myself. All right. It's drab day. You know, I was doing good with my hair, you guys. I was actually selling hair when I got off, selling hair early in the morning before I even went to work. And I mean, I'm driving all over Houston now at this point. I'm meeting hairstylists, meeting different people. It was booming, booming, booming. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. Like, I'm super duper excited. I got people inboxing me. I'm shipping hair off in between my lunch breaks. So, you know, I'm making 3 to 4 sales in one day. That's good, especially for the type of hair that I sell, and me being a new person selling it. That was awesome. So I was like, okay, well, this, you know what? I see the picture now. I think I can really do this full-time thing one day of me working for myself, because I'm doing great. So I end up going to the Super Bowl party at my friend's house. We got on to talking, and her friends chimed in, and everyone was all talking about businesses and how proud they were of everyone and how they were willing to help us or help me in my business. And I'm like, for real? You know, because I'm thinking about opening up this daiquiri shop. You know what I'm saying? Since I got the hair game on lock already, I done got that funded. I'm doing that. Okay, let me go ahead and let me just swing in this daiquiri shop. Because remind you, I told y'all it was too much for me in my head, so I just put that on a piece of paper in my book. I didn't think I could do that on my own. So I was like, let me just put that to the side. So when they said that they would help me, that was like the fire that I needed under me. And I really created a real business plan. I started talking to different contractors. I started going out looking at different buildings, the whole 9 yards. I mean, like, I have like a whole development team. Like, I'm meeting, like, I've had a city inspection. Like, I'm lit. Remind you, I don't have a lot of money in my account at all at this point. Like just a little money. I got a little savings. I'm trying to build it back up. I really don't have a lot still, but I'm talking to these people like I got $1 million in my account. All right. Like you can't tell me nothing. Like I know my stuff, right? Because I've researched for almost at this point a year. So I've researched and I've read and I've asked questions. So when they try to come at me sideways, I know what I'm talking about. And they're all like, well, okay, well, you want to do to-go daiquiris, this and that. So at first they were going for it. But then they were all kind of like, well, how come you don't sell smoothies? And I'm like, because I don't want to sell smoothies. I want to sell daiquiris. Well, I just don't think that the city is going to be open to doing that. And they're mind blown because they didn't even think this was a thing. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It very much well is a thing. Like it's very, very popular. Now, the reason why these people did not know is because at the time I was not opening my daiquiri shop here in Houston or Hempstead at the time. That was not my goal. My goal was somewhere else, totally different. Okay, fine. You know what? They don't want to do it, so let me look for other buildings. But there was no other building. Like it was a drought for buildings. So I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm not going to worry about it. So, in the meantime, he calls me. He has these blueprints for me. I'm meetings, emails. He's telling me this and that, you know. I goes on to think, okay, well, maybe I still do need an investor because this is rolling now. He's saying by August this can be done. Okay. So I try to pull in some more people. They agree to help me, you know. So I'm like, cool. Well, at least I don't have to worry about some of the money aspect part. You know, I can get help on that. Well, come to find out, the contractor was just giving me a huge runaround. I mean, like he just ran me all the way around. He was stringing me along. Every time I called him, of not hearing from him, months in between, each time the story was different. Each time something was different. So I was like, you know what? You know, this guy is really playing with me right now. Well, let me stick a pin in that point, all right? I moved to Hempstead in the meantime. I'm living in Houston. My lease was up. They done went up $600 or so on the rent. Okay, I'm like, bye. Y'all done lost y'all mind. I will pack my stuff up and I am out. So I decided, since I'm saving up money for my daiquiri shop, I'm going to move in with my sister because she moved down here, be roommates with her. You know, she came up with the idea once before, but I was like, no, I'm not into it. But since I'm trying to save money now, I do it. So I moved down there. Remind you, Hempstead is like an hour away from Houston. So I'm driving an hour every day. And I remind you, my job and my apartment used to be like literally 5 minutes from each other. So I'm going just 5-10 minutes down the road to an hour. So I moved down there and I'm like, well, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have moved down here. What am I doing? You know what I'm saying? I know I was trying to save money and all, but, you know, I was being real hard on myself. I said, you know, I made a very bad financial move because I'm spending more money at the gas station than I would if I would have just paid the rent. So now I'm upset at myself because now I feel stupid. I moved down there and trying to save money and I'm not saving money. So one day, as I'm taking this hour drive home, something hit me and was like, you know, look at this in a different aspect. To say, you asked God, you prayed for God earlier this year to give you opportunities. Instead of telling him to give you money and let me make a lot of money, put me in a position where I can have an opportunity. And I started to think about it. Because y'all, this town is like ghost town. There's like nothing down there at all to do. Like I'm talking about once you're there, you are there. There's like 3 restaurants to eat at. The Walmart, not even a Walmart, y'all. I was so thrown off when I was like, they don't even have a meat department, no produce. I'm like, oh my Lord. Seafood, they have seafood. I said, oh God, it's one thing they have down here, right, is the seafood. So, I'm talking, I'm eating, I'm looking around, I'm still new. Like, man, this is a country town. So I go back the second time. Now, remind you, I'm still working on bits and pieces of the business to get it going to get the daiquiri shop up and going, because see, the way me and the contractor were talking at this point, which is around like June-ish, July-ish, we were pretty much on the same page of everything was intact for me to get this going. So I was like, okay, well, next steps now, the operation side. So machines, POS systems, I'm on that part now. So I noticed how this guy, you know, he has his mini iPads and things, and how his employees are using it. And I'm like, you know, I wonder what POS system he's using. So I was really nervous, and I found out he was the owner. I found out he was the owner, and I was really nervous to ask him this. And I said, you know, if you don't mind me asking, what POS system do you use? And he was like, excuse me? And I was like, what POS system do you use? Now, remind you, I'm eating, I have a margarita in front of me, but at the same time, my mind's spinning about business. So he told me, he's all like, you know, I use this and that, but I use this company, but don't use this other company because it costs too much per card. And he was like, why? And I told him, well, you know, because I'm thinking about opening up a daiquiri shop, but, you know, not down here though. And he was like, oh, okay. So I go in another time. Now, it got to the point, it was nothing to do. I was going to this restaurant like 3 times a week. It was nothing to do. So this is the next best thing I had to do to eat and to drink that I like, because I love seafood. And so the next time I went in there, he was like, hey, I've been looking for you. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. And so he gave me this information for me to meet up with this guy back at the restaurant to talk to him about the system. So I came. He saw me. Me and the guy talked. I was like, okay, you know. So I left. And then I come back to eat, and he's all like, well, you know what? I don't even use him anymore. I use somebody else. And I was like, oh, okay. So he gives me their number and contact. So I go and I meet with them, talk to them. We have a whole meeting about systems and what I need and how I want it to be and how soon they could give it to me and install it. It's cool. Meeting went well. Went back to eat. He's all like, well, did you talk to him? I'm like, yeah. Now, remind you guys, this is over a course of weeks and months, right? I was like, yeah, I met him. I talked to him. And I just was talking to him about other business things. And every time we went in there, we talked about different business, just things, you know, and he gave me a lot of advice and a lot of tips and information. One day, I was talking to him, and I was like, you know what? This is probably around September now, right? And I'm like, you know, I've been looking at buildings, and you know, this guy, he was trying to say he wanted all this money a month, and I'm like, what? Now, remind you, I've been going to the same restaurant for like 4 months, almost 5 months now. Every week I go. Never seen a building behind this building. He's all like, oh, no, don't you buy a building from him. I got a building for you. I said, where? He was like, right behind this restaurant. I was like, stop playing. I have never, ever seen a building behind this restaurant. He was like, no, I'm serious. When you get done eating, I'm going to show you. I said, okay. So I get done eating. I said, you know, I'm done or whatever. He said, come on, come to the back. I'm going to show you. We walked out there. Sure enough, there was a huge building. I said, oh my gosh, I've never seen this building. He opens it up, and you guys, it was like a box of gold being unleashed.
Oh my God!
He flicked on the light. And when I tell you, everything was already in there, right? TVs were already up. Security systems already in there. Chairs, tables, it's already built out. And I'm looking like, God? Now, you know, I know you're able, but wait a minute, for me? See, y'all, because a lot of people have been stringing me on through this process, and I've been hearing a lot of negative things about I shouldn't do this, and this not gonna make a lot of money, and I don't know why you want to open up this shop, and people telling me they're going to help me and they're not going to help me. They're not answering the phone now. They're not texting me back now. For instance, him stringing me along about the contractor process now. Now this is a time now where When I go back to the other contractor, I'm done dealing with him. He's told me the last and final story that I was going to believe. I said, you know what, that's it. Forget him. I'm moving on to something else. I'm going to find another building and deal with another company because he is not telling me the truth. And so then that's whenever, maybe 3 weeks later, this opportunity came about. And the guy told me, he was like, you know what? I see it in you. You are going to be successful and I want to help you. He was like, and I said, me? And he said, yeah, you. I want to help you. You're like a sister to me. You guys, I want to tell you right now, don't ever, ever miss your blessing because it didn't come how you think it should or by the person you think it would come by. Because this guy and I don't know each other. It all started by me asking him a question about his POS system. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. We built this bond. He told me to go certain places and do certain things. I did it. I came back. He saw how serious I was. I'm going to be the point of where he decides to make his decision to tell me about this building. He could have told me about this building a long time ago. But you see how persistent I was and determined I was and thankful I was of him taking the time out to talk to me and give me that information. I went to the appointments, I went to the meetings, and I came back and I talked to him about it. And he saw how eager I was about it. And so when it came to the day that I finally said something about a building, he released it. And he told me, if you bring me back a deposit, it's all yours. And I said, are you serious? And he said, I'm serious. I want to help you. There's already 3 or 4 people that's already been asking about this building, but you know, I kind of didn't know. He said, but you, I know. And a daiquiri shop, you're going to make good money. And I boo-hoo like a baby. Because not only did God bless me with this big building, he blessed it where it was already pretty much almost ready to go. And I'm thinking, because all that stuff was in my budget sheet of stuff that I would have to pay for, and to know that half that list was cleared off just made the process to me 10 times better. I was like, wow, look at God. Okay, so I'm at work now every day and I'm filling out my applications. I'm going through my process. I'm setting everything up. So we in October now. And I'm like, okay, I'm running out of money. So I started doing Uber Eats when I got off from work. I was still selling hair, but then see, now I started shifting all my energy towards my daiquiri shop. So I kind of put that, you know, I was running out of energy. And like I said, all my focus was on my daiquiri shop because this was, to me, this was it. This is it. I got to get this off the ground. And so I remind you, like I said, I have been saving up my money. I have been telling myself I'm going to do what I can by myself. And that's when he asked me for that deposit, I was able to give it to him. So that tells you whatever you want to do, save up for it. Set some money aside for it. You know what I'm saying? Even when you think it's not enough or it's not a lot, it's probably just the right amount. And so to get you started, and that's exactly what happened. It got me started. And so I did Uber Eats when I used to get off from work. And I made money with that. That helped me. Of course, I was still getting paid, you know, my check still saving. And so along the way of the process, I still hit a lot of bumpy roads with just the legal side of it, of the application process. Well, now you got to run it in a newspaper all over again. Well, now you got to do this. Now you got to do that. Okay, AT&T trying to get the Wi-Fi just to find out the lady didn't know what she was doing, ordered me the wrong thing. Everybody was there to install everything that day just for them to be like, you know what I'm saying? We can't do it because you don't have no internet. You don't have the right internet. I was livid. Okay. All that finally gets situated. They finally give me my internet a few days before my grand opening. The day before my grand opening, they decide, oh, we got to come and bury the line. They come and bury the line, but the guy forgot to hook it back up. So guess what? I go in because I left, so I didn't know. And I came in that day, that Saturday, for grand opening. Not only, let me back up, because see, me and some owners had got into it before I even opened, you guys, like literally the day before. And it's the way the building is set up, I don't necessarily have my own line, so I'm sharing. And so the guy got mad at me for asking him a question about, because they were being picky with me before I even started with my business. They were already hating. And like I told him, well, if you have something to talk about, you know, owner to owner, you can come to me. Don't be running around and having your employees come over there. I think that's very disrespectful and rude. So I checked him about it. He got mad about it, and guess what? Well, don't use my water. Don't use my water. So guess what? I get into all a tizzy about that because tomorrow's a grand opening and I need water. So I talked to my landlord. He's all like, don't worry about it. I got to know another way. I got you. Cool. Then on top of grand opening, the day of grand opening, just to see that my Wi-Fi is still not working again, right? My Wi-Fi is not working at all. And before I even get to all of that, you guys, I totally skipped a big part. I quit my job 3 days before my grand opening. So things are really stressful because I'm all excited, I'm nervous, and what I prayed for is happening. It's unfolding right in front of my eyes now, and I'm like, I just quit my job that I've been on for 3 years to work for myself full time. I hadn't even sold a cup, you guys, and my account was like already like at the very bottom. We talking about the last few $100s left. So I'm like, oh, this is gonna be different. But I was willing to do it because this is something to do. So we get to grand opening. I find out, you know, we had to hook up the water a few hours before we open in a weird way to get that going. So we got that going. That was cool. Then just to get in there to realize everybody, hey, we don't have no internet. I'm like, yeah, that's POS system not working. I look down and my modem is all red. I said, oh no, not again. I melted. All my friends and family, they said, oh no, don't do that. Don't get discouraged. We're here now. You open in almost an hour. We don't have time for that. You got to pick yourself up. I'm running around. I'm all worried. You know, I'm like, okay, we got to do this. We got to do that. Okay, I got my employees coming in now, which is also mind blowing that I went from having a boss 3 days ago to me being the boss. So now they're all looking at me like what to do. And I'm like, well, just give me a second. So I'm like all over the place. And so they come up with a good idea to say, you know what, just Cash App. Tell people to Cash App you. I was like, no, but that just looks so tacky. I wanted it to be professional. And they're like, we know how you wanted it to be, Ashanti, but just relax. We can't have that right now. AT&T wasn't picking up the phone. You know how they are with their holding stuff. So guess what? No internet. And I had already saw customers in the parking lot, and they started to come in. And I was like, well, they're coming. We had to tell them all night long about the Cash App madness. Yeah, they kind of looked weird, but they did it because they were like, we want it accurate. You know, they did it. They enjoyed it. They liked it. And you guys, that day was very successful. And even on that day of my grand opening, I was so broke that I didn't even have enough money to start my drawer off. Okay, I had to borrow money from someone to get that. Like, well, how are we gonna open up and I don't have any money? So you see what I'm saying? All those different obstacles, all those different things going on. And I'm talking about in the nick of time of me opening. Like my grand opening, I've been promoting it. I'm talking about 10,000 views, you know, all these comments and all of these retweets. I mean, like, these people are lit, like they're coming. And so I cannot let them down because of the nitpick stuff, which is really important. And I'm just so grateful to have an awesome support system that helped me to where I am right now, because that day, if you would have left it up to me, I would have just canceled it because I was really upset. But what was getting me was that, you know, I'm going to have to tell people to Cash App me. And that's where I would tell people in the business, you're going to want something to be a certain way, and it's not going to be how you think it should be or how you want it to be, but the job can still get done. You know, you can't always make that business pretty. You just got to do it and come back around and regroup that whatever that is that needs to be done. And that's what I did. So eventually, long story short, you guys, I get to sell Jello shots, daiquiris, beer, wine for a living. And it all started because I really just wanted to sell Jello shots. And I took this huge risk, and I didn't use not one investor after all of this. Not one loan was taken out. Just me and God. Just me and God. And it's just like the way things should in line, I kept hearing him every time to say, just have faith in me. Just have trust in me. Just trust me. Just trust me. Just have faith in me. And so for anyone who's starting a business or that wants to start a business, that's what I will encourage you to do today, is to believe in yourself, but most importantly, believe in God, that whatever you're seeking is not too hard, it's not too big. It don't matter about the money, it don't matter about the resources, it don't matter if one person tell you no, 3 people tell you no. God has the final say so, and whatever he has in alignment with you and your plans in life, it will happen. Whatever you're speaking in your life, believe it. Walk like it, talk like it. Even if you don't have a dollar, a dime, a resource to your name, already manifest that and it will happen. And so here we are today in 2020, like I manifested and prayed for. 5 months in, I am a full-time entrepreneur and I own my own daiquiri shop. And it has not still been the easiest thing to do, but it has been the best thing that I've done ever. It is so rewarding. I love it. I have put in extreme hours at that shop. I'm talking about, I'm just now being able to kind of relax where I don't even go to the shop. I let my employees handle it. And that's still even weird for me to say, you guys, because like I said, I've been working since I was 16. And so now to say, I'm checking cameras, looking at my employees, I'm hiring and firing people, I'm cutting checks, payroll, like what, me? And just a matter of months, how things just, whoop. You know, so everyone's story is going to be different. You know, some people wait until they have a lot of money saved up or until their business is really booming, then they quit. That's the way you're told to do it. But the way your journey may go, you may not be able to do that. And for me, it was either 100% in your business to get 100% result, or you put 50% in your business and you get 50% result. And I was not willing, through everything I had went through, to just get 50% out of it. So I quit my job and I said, I'm going to do this full out. And if things don't work out, I'm not too prideful where I can't go back and get a job. I will, but I want to give this a try first. And even with everything going on, I just thank God that he is still able and that he is still allowing SIPs to grow and to expand and elevate. And I am just grateful for everything and all of the support. So I really hope in this video that I have encouraged someone, no matter in what stage you are in your business, to keep pushing, you know, to keep trying, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how much money you don't have or people you don't know. Just keep going. Keep believing in yourself, because you're the only one that is going to carry you and your business through. There's going to be a lot of rough days. There's going to be a lot of slow days, a lot of hard times, and you can't sink in that. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep creating. You have to keep promoting. You have to be your biggest fan, your biggest promoter. There's going to be a lot of people that's not going to support you. They are going to be family and friends. They're going to say they're going to be there for you, but they're not. They say, oh yeah, girl, I'm coming. They don't. You got to let all that stuff go. You got to let it roll off your back like water, and you got to keep pushing. Don't ever let that stop you from, you know, what am I trying to say? I'm sorry. Don't ever let that stop you from going far in life or actually pursuing your dreams. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. So I really hope you all liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, because I do have a lot of other inspirational videos and business tips that will hopefully you all can join me along for the ride and watch all the other videos. Click the bell to get the notifications of when I do drop videos. Once again, I hope this has helped and inspired someone to keep pushing and elevating in what you're doing. Until then, have a good one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.